Now you might say, well, wait a minute. Let's make this a little stronger. Let's make the noise a little stronger and see how well this does. Let's go up to height, like if I went back to 20, double the noise. Every realization of noise, every time I push that run button, it gives me something different. You guys all realize that? Every time I do that, it generates a new noise field. Here's another realization. Look at that. It's pretty clear. What's here is still just a mess. You wouldn't be able to make a detection. Here it says something's clearly above that line. Now you would say, if you just looked at this, you say, well, wait a minute. How do I know that if I don't just move the filter over here, I'm just not going to grab this stuff and it's not going to give me something? Right? You could say that because maybe you're distrustful right now. You don't trust me. You think I'm trying to pull something on you. Like, oh, that guy, he's a fraud. Look at that. I could have done that with anything. Maybe you're hopefully not thinking that. But seriously, if you look at this data in the spectrum, it doesn't really look any different here than here than here than here than here. And it looks to me like if you filtered there, you get the same thing. Right? What's the difference, actually, with a signal versus noise? In a signal, the information is coherent. The frequency components are in phase. Okay? In white noise, yes, it's lots of fluctuation, lots of energy. All this information over here, I only plotted the absolute value. This stuff is incoherent. In other words, it has random phase relationships. So when I'm going to show you, we're going to move the filter over to here. And I'm going to prove to you that I'm not fibbing you. Okay? I went inside, I look at the same plot, move the filter. Okay? By the way, the filtered signal, so in other words, if I look at the frequency domain, if I take this blue filter and move it over here, you see that green line? It's going to look pretty close to the same. But the key is what happens in the time domain. All right, so all you got to do to move the filter, let's go back over here. Let's maybe make it centered around -10. Does that sound good? Or, I don't know, 15? Let's make 15, sure. There we go. I just moved my filter. I can do either one. I mean, I could just filter anywhere I want. I could go to one side or the other, filter both. But I'll just show you what we want to look at is if I filter around that frequency. So in other words, where this is 0 is at a certain frequency, omega naught. And if you go to the one side, you're going to higher frequencies, the other side, lower frequencies. So now I'm just moving to lower frequencies.
But 0 frequency is in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And so
well,
if you go from 0 to the top, that's your range of frequency. If you go to the negative, you're covering the same.
Yeah, but it's not really 0. It's omega naught, right? Rescaled. You've centered out, you've taken out the center frequency. Okay, so, okay, here's what I get. Hold on. It's not as impressive as you think. I mean, it is more impressive than you think. What's it go from? Sorry. I know it's bad form here to show you and then take it away. I mean, it's awful. Okay, 0, 1. There. I filtered over there. The reason I did it rescales automatically. I wanted you to see that threshold line. The threshold line's there at 0.5. It's always been there. If I take that same, look at here, the green under here still has, it's a spike. You think, oh, the spike led to a spike here. The spike there does not lead to a spike there. Spike there leads to stuff that's low. You would never launch a missile there. Okay? So what this allowed us to do, right, is a very simple algorithm where you just say, look, I want to do data analysis. And so this gets back to the bigger picture generically, which is what we did here is just said, look, if I want to do data analysis and I'm bringing in all this information, it's contaminated with noise, but I know something about what I'm looking for. I knew here I was looking for omega naught. I just say, okay, filter around omega naught. Take out a little Gaussian. And by the way, you can do better, you can do worse. This is why people work so hard on filter design. Because I can make super fancy filters that will do better and better and better job about really making a detection. Remember, radar actually, well, I don't know if I didn't say anything about it, but radar, the advance of radar was actually tremendous. It was at the end of World War II, actually, and was a turning point in the war because Hitler was bombing England into submission, and they were actually probably a few months out from basically an unconditional surrender. But then what was happening in technology there is they actually built radar, and all of a sudden the Luftwaffe, which was basically their dominant force, coming in over England, the English Air Force was always knew where they were. Could that happen? They had invented radar. The Germans didn't know it. Totally changed the war. Pretty important. And since that time, the development of radar has been huge, and people work very hard at this. For instance, MIT Lincoln Labs, they do radar stuff all the time. They have 3 positions open if you need one right now. So for instance, so you can do a lot of advanced design, filtering, taking into account bouncing of the signal all around from things. I mean, this is, but it's ultimately it's just this. This is the key idea right there. This is the key idea. What they want to do is subtract crap from real signal. Okay, that's the ultimate goal. And ultimately, what you want to do, whatever your data is, you'd like to take out what shouldn't be there, and you want an accurate, statistically correct way to do that. Okay, so these are the kind of mechanisms we start looking at. Now, there are other ways to subtract out noise. I want to talk about that on Monday. Okay, we'll build some more code. Thing I'd encourage you to do, take the code here. You can play with filter with, right? There's a whole code in the notes. You could just start playing with filter with. You can start playing with your filter design if you'd like, right? It's very simple to do. How many lines? We just did it in line here. It's not that many lines. You just start looking at what happens to your signal. Play around with your noise. Play around with your signal you put in. See how well you can reconstruct it.